Hello and welcome back to this interesting and exciting series on Apigee X comprehensive API security for the Google Cloud Apigee X API management platform, which is now very popular in the world for API management. Now, in the first part, we have secured our proxy hands-on the Google Cloud Console via API key with a basic API key. Now, we will go one step further to improve our comprehensive security by using the OAuth 2.0, using the common client credentials grant type. Now, this is a significant step up from a simple API key. Now, in this context, I would like to tell you about a VIP nightclub analogy for the common scenario in the real world, now which will help you understand what the basic fundamentals are. That is, if you are a member of an exclusively VIP nightclub, you still need some sort of an access to that nightclub, which you can show to the gatekeepers for an entry. So for that, the Apigee works like a bouncer, which actually checks your identity and your membership details, just like the client ID and secret, and then issues you a temporary access token, which access token will allow the gatekeepers to the actual nightclub to allow you entry into the VIP nightclub. So similarly, here what happens is that instead of a static key that never changes, the client application will now exchange its credentials. And what are the credentials for the client API? For the API, it's client ID and secret. And it exchanges it for a temporary access token. Now, this temporary access token is then used to access the API. So in this section, we'll walk through adding the OAuth 2 policy to our proxy, generating the access token. And in this process, we'll walk you through what we have built from the part 1 using basic API key, and we'll take the same application to this OAuth 2 level. All right. So our primary objective for this lab is to replace the static API key we implemented in part 1, and we'll be implementing the OAuth 2 client credentials, which is a more modern and secure and common pattern for machine-to-machine communication. So over to the actual slides. So now let's move to an exclusive nightclub analogy for OAuth 2, one that fits with the digital access control. Now imagine your API as an exclusive VIP nightclub. So this is the VIP nightclub, and API is the exclusive VIP nightclub. And this nightclub itself is a valuable resource that only authorized people or applications should enter. And your client application is like a patron. Okay, client application is like a patron waiting for an access into the exclusive nightclub. It's a legitimate entity, but you as the club owner don't want to give it the permanent keys to the whole place. All right. So the patron's identity card represents the client ID and secret. That is the patron permanent ID card. So this is the client tab. Okay. So one by one, we'll follow through these 2 steps. First step is get your VIP pass and then enter the club. All right. And these client ID and secrets are shown only once to the bouncer to establish the patron's ID. This bouncer is standing at the entrance, holding the door, and their job is to verify identities and issues passes. Now, the crucial element is the access token, which is a temporary VIP pass issued by the bouncer, this fellow, authorization server. Okay, so this is the bouncer, which will give you a temporary access pass or access token, and so that you can enter the nightclub. Now, this pass is special. It's time limited and specific, and it grants privileges and perhaps access to the main dance floor, but not the private owner's office. Okay, now let's look at the flow. First, the pattern. Now here also the Apigee, which is the resource server, and the proxy. This is the door guards. These are the door guards inside the club. Now, looking at the flow, patron shows ID card to the bouncer for verification here. And the bouncer issues temporary VIP pass. Pattern shows the VIP pass to the door guards for entry and access. Okay, looks simple, right? With this analogy, the door guards checks the pass for validity and expiration, and if all is well, access is granted. So that marks your exclusive nightclub analogy with this OAuth 2. All right. So again, in the first step, the client app is, our objective is for the client app to enter, to have an access to the API, which is just like an exclusive nightclub, and it shows its credentials, secret, permanent ID card, which are client ID and secret, and gets the access token from the Apigee authorization server, who is the bouncer here. And with this authorization token or access token, it shows it to the Apigee resource server, and it gets an entry to the club. Now, we'll see how to disable the API key policy, which is the first step. So the first step is to modify our existing security lab proxy. We need to remove the old API key checkpoint before we add the new OAuth 2.0 policies. To do this, we'll edit your existing security lab policy and add the two necessary OAuth 2 policies. So first of all, let's go back to our Google Cloud Console, and we'll go to the develop API proxies and click our security lab proxy. I'll go through the steps quickly, and then we'll get back to our battlefield, that is the Google Cloud Console, and then go to the developer tab and click the develop tab to open the editor, and then remove the API key policy. Okay, so in the navigator pane, under proxy endpoints default preflow, find the verify API key policy step and click the three dots menu next to it and select remove. So let's get back to our the security lab proxy, which is the proxy that we started developing in the last lab, in lab 5 part 1. And we have got this verify API key policy. So if you click from here, it was attached to the proxy endpoint preflow in default. But if I want to, I cannot delete from the icon here because it is used in an endpoint. So what I will do instead is click on preflow, proxy endpoint preflow, and verify API key, and try to delete the policy step. So now here it is deleted this way. Now, after having deleted the verify API key policy step, I can see that it is not used in any flow. So I think I can easily delete the policy itself. So delete, and then save it again. So it is all saved. I'm yet to deploy. So we can always deploy it later on. Coming to the step 2, add OAuth policies. Now add a new conditional flow to your proxy endpoint, name it generate token. So we'll do accordingly. Okay, now in this step 2, we'll add an OAuth policies to security lab proxy. And we'll follow the lab walkthrough on the Google Cloud Console itself. And please follow the lab guide as you work your way through it. And I'm not going to add any bullet points as a slideshow because it is all practical henceforth. Okay, so let's switch over to our Google Cloud Console. Now we are into the security lab proxy develop tab. Now in this develop tab, now here on the left hand side, we look into the policies folder. So here we add a policy. Click on add policy, and we'll look for select policy, and we'll look for OAuth 2. So OAuth version 2.0, and details. So in the policy name, we'll give it this name, generate access token, and display name, we'll leave it as it is, or we can, it's up to our call. We can leave it as, and it will automatically take any name that will change when we modify the XML corresponding to this generate access token, or we can just straight away go for the display name change as we have done. That is also an option with us. So I will leave it at that, OAuth version 2 dash, and click on create. So OAuth version 2 is created, but it is not used in any flows. Now, again, we'll look into this and add another policy. And in this select policy, we'll again look for OAuth version 2 and give this policy a name, which is on my clipboard, which I'm going to paste now. OAuth v2 dash or hyphen verify access token, and then create and display name as it is a leave. So these two policies are created, generate access token and then verify access token. Now I will change the code. I click this one and the code is this one, and I will change it with the existing code on my clipboard. Okay, so I just expand it a little bit and get rid of the code, existing code, and paste it with my clipboard code and save it again. You can see the name is, display name is changed to verify access token, OAuth v2 verify access token. In the same manner as the earlier one was changed from OAuth v2 to OAuth v2 generate access token with the change in the markup code. So after both the policy addition, I have saved it, or after adding two policies, one after the other, you can save it. Okay, you can save it as many times as you'd like to. Okay, that's not a problem. Now, next step is to configure proxy endpoint flows. So step 2 is over, and step 3 is configure proxy endpoint flows, default proxy endpoint. And again, we'll be continuing with our lab walkthrough on the Google Cloud Console. So again, getting back to our Google Cloud Console. So here I've got the proxy endpoint default. This is the markup, which comes automatically. So you can just collapse the code. You can again bring it back. You can do as many times of collapse and expansion. And I will replace the entire XML content of the default.xml with the exact configuration, which is on my clipboard. So now I have changed the code to whatever I had on my clipboard, and then clicked on save and then deploy. So let us deploy it. Current status revision is 4, and then deploy to revision 5 to confirm, and it starts deploying the security lab proxy revision 5 to eval. I'll come back after it is deployed successfully. So as you can see, this was the step 4, deploy the proxy, which is in the process of getting deployed. So deployment is successful, deployed security lab proxy revision 5 to eval. Now all we have to do is the last step, that is testing, right? So let's get back to our slideshow to just verify testing the OAuth 2 flow Cloud Shell. Okay, so first step is to get token, and the second step is to access the API. And this is the Apigee authorization server. Okay, and this is the access token it grants. With this access token, you get an entry to the exclusive Nightclub, or this case, access the API. Okay, so onto the cloud, Google Console Cloud, what I will do is I will restore the Cloud Shell, and I will reconnect because of lack of activity. The session has actually ended. Now it is provisioning our Google Cloud Shell machine. I will close this one. Yes, authorize. Now it's all ready to run our curl commands for testing. So now I have given the final curl command, and it has given me a success response, which is this from this part, starting OAuth 2 client credentials flow test. So you can see here that there is a 200 OK response connected to our IP address, port 443, and here it is. I will tell you, okay, here it is, HTTP to 200. So it's now all successful, and this is the final response. So congratulations on doing this lab successfully.